Hey, welcome back to my channel, Because He Loves Me. If you're new here, my name is Lee, and I talk about God. I talk about faith. I talk about the love of Christ. I talk about his unconditional love for us. I talk about all things Jesus. I testify, and pretty much I tell all my business. That's pretty much what I'm doing. I'm testifying, and we know that we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of our testimony. So let's get into this video today. So this is the first time that I'm doing a video where I'm sharing something that I'm currently going through. And recently, Holy Spirit has prompted me to start sharing things while I'm going through them, instead of like this grand ta-da. This is how I came over. This is how God worked it out, because no matter where I'm in the process, no matter where you are in your process, God is still good. So in that regard, let's get into this story. So today I want to talk to you about God telling me to quit my job again. So if you are not new here, you know that a couple years back I did a video about God telling me to quit my nursing job. If you'd like to watch that video, I'll put it in the description box below. I'll probably link it somewhere up on the screen as well. But anyway, that was through nursing. That was back when I was a nursing research supervisor. But this is when God told me to quit my big girl job, my nurse practitioner job. Now, not saying that nursing is not a big girl job. Don't lose sight of what I'm trying to say. The point is, I had gotten all the way to the point where I thought was like I arrived, and that's when the Lord was like, it's time to go. So I had started my career in January of 2020 of family nurse practitioner at a community health center. And shortly after, we all know what happened in 2020. Shortly after, COVID came and hit and ran through and snatched all of our edges, and it was just a mess. It was just a mess. The world will obviously never be the same. Boss. Whew. Anyway, I have a dog now, and so where was I? The world would never be the same. Healthcare would never be the same after COVID. We all know, we've all lived it. We all gone through. At that point in time in my career, I guess I would say that adjusting to being a nurse practitioner was really challenging. From being a nurse to nurse practitioner, totally different ball game, totally different risks. I'm now diagnosing and treating where I wasn't before. And so it was just different, right? So COVID came, the world changed. I still had my job. I was working full-time Monday through Friday. I was getting burnt out for real because the acuity of my patients, specifically my mental health patients, started to increase, as with many other practices, probably with COVID. And it just became, it became a lot. In addition to that, and I'll probably do another video on this specifically talking about burnout, the burnt out nurse practitioner, probably will do something like that. But in addition to that, I had to deal with some interesting things, maybe some things that are unique to the facility that I worked at, unique to my role as a clinician at a community health center. I had to deal with, unfortunately, racism and racist comments from patients, but I'll get into that in another video where I talk about burnout. But I say all this to say it was hard. But I didn't have any intentions on quitting. I had no intentions on leaving. I was okay, I guess what you would say, because in my head, I'm like, this has to get better, right? Maybe it's because I'm new. Then it was like, maybe it's because it's COVID. Then it was like, maybe it's because, I don't know. Anyway, whatever it was, I just thought that it was because of something else that I just had to adjust, and I hadn't adjusted yet. So fast forward to when I got married in September of 2021. And this was the first time that I took a break from work that was long, longer than a couple of days. And so I was on vacation, and I kind of started to feel what it was like to not be in the office anymore. But you know what happened that time? I feel like the time that I needed to take away was the time that God needed me to take away so that I can hear him more clearly. Because in the thick of Monday through Friday, yes, I was praying. Yes, I was fasting. Yes, I did devotional time. Yes, because I had to. I could not ever be a nurse practitioner without the Lord, without the leading of the Holy Spirit. I prayed to him daily. So it wasn't like my prayer life was absent. But because I had the hustle and bustle of the week, and, my mind is clouded from the things that were going on with work, maybe I couldn't hear as clearly as I did when I was on that vacation on that beach in wherever we were. Where did we go? Mexico, I think. But anyway, I am just relaxed on the beach, and I get an email. And I wasn't prepared to say this part, but I feel like I should say this part. I got an email from the government stating that I had been approved for the nurses' loan forgiveness or something in exchange for 2 years of working at a community health center or in public service. They would wipe away $50,000 of your loans. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. The only issue was I had to stay working there for 2 additional years. So I had already worked there for 2 years, and my time served did not count. So it would have been 2 additional years. And so I was on vacation. It was definitely an exciting time. That was exciting news to receive. But it also was just like, wow, I gotta work here another 2 years. Okay, cool. I'm pull my sleeves up. I'm ready for it when I come back. And so that was it. Like, it was exciting. And I felt I didn't feel peace, so to speak, but I felt like because I was away from work, I could hear God. So I actually came back from the beach. I was driving down the street, and I heard the Holy Spirit say, it's time to go. And I was like, what do you mean it's time to go? Time to go where? Where am I going? What are you talking about? And he said it to me right when I was passing by my job. So I was like, not again. Not again. And I'm like, what? It's time to go. He's like, yes, it's time to leave. And I'm like, okay. So I went back to work the next day, and that was it. Like, I just went back to work, but I felt this nagging, this impression, this something almost every day that just was like, it's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time to go. And so finally, I wrote my resignation letter. And actually, I had just had my evaluation with my job. My supervisor, she had just given me my evaluation, said that, I had done amazing, and, they were happy with me and all the things, right? And a couple weeks went by, and I gave in my resignation letter. And it was by surprise to probably a lot of people. Some people maybe not, because it had gotten really tough with patients, and like I said, the racism and the acuity and just things. And I just was not happy. But because I had the green light with God backing me, and I had been here before where he told me to quit a job without having a job, I was just kind of like, okay, But I still was nervous. I still was afraid. And let's not forget, if I leave, I'll be giving up that $50,000. Like, I need that $50,000. We all need money for these student loans, okay? So, and just like last time, the supervisor, my medical director, she asked me or offered me a part-time position, or she just asked me would I be interested in staying part-time because they'd love to keep me. And as tempting as it was so tempting. It's always tempting, right? When it's not what God said, when God is trying to tell you to do something, you have to obey when it doesn't make sense. The other options, the alternatives are always tempting. And so I said no. So my last day was January of 2023. No, January of 2022, because we're in 2023 now. And so I left my job, again, without a job. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this, like I said in the beginning, is because I'm currently going through this now. I'm still in the space where, because I'm currently going through this now, I'm still in a space where I don't have the next finished project or product. I don't have like this beautiful story like I had last time. Like 2 days later, someone offered me a job. I don't have that. In fact, I was applying to jobs like crazy when I left this job. I was applying day and night, night and day. And finally, the Lord told me to stop applying for jobs. And I was like, what is this about? All last year, I felt like I was grieving. I was sad. I was unsure. I was insecure. I didn't have clarity on why it was that he told me to quit this job. Now, what I will say is this. I know everyone cannot choose to just quit their job. And that's why I'd caution you to make sure that you heard God correctly. Because you want to make sure you heard the Lord, because you want to make sure you have the money, the finances, or whatever. Now, I will say there was a little preparation into this. So God told me to quit my job as I was preparing to leave. So I put in my notice in October. I didn't leave to January. Throughout October to January, I was saving money. I was putting away something. I was applying wisdom to my situation. So let's speed this little thing up. So like I said, I was confused. I was sad. I didn't have clarity. Even during this time, my faith took a major hit. Like, I just didn't know, because imagine like leaving your job and then the next day you don't have anything. Then you don't have anything. Then the next day you don't have anything. Like, you don't really know why he told you to quit your job. You're just in the wilderness. And that's where I found myself. I found myself in a wilderness that the Lord led me to. And I found that it was time for me to get back to the Lord, to rest in him. And in fact, he told me to rest in him. He told me to rest in him. And throughout my time of resting, I started to just kind of delve deeper into like what that could potentially mean. And so I had written down some things that I was looking up. I remember he told me to settle yourself in me. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I ain't got nothing else to do, right? So when I looked up to settle, it means to put in order, to arrange in a fixed position, to come to rest or to a halt, to take up residence, to establish or become established in a way of life, to make or become quiet, calm, or stable. Another word for settle is to dwell. And so when I was thinking of dwell, I was thinking about the scripture that says, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. This verse itself encourages refuge and security in God. And that is what he was leading me into. He was leading me into refuge and security in him, knowing that He is my Jehovah Jireh, my provider, knowing that he will never leave me nor forsaken me, especially because he called me to this season, knowing that I should be putting my complete trust in him. And that is where he led me. And to be quite honest, I know we go from faith to faith and glory to glory, but this was a different level of faith, trusting God, and nothing was coming about. Like, I had little things here and there. I had money coming in here and there with like little 1099s. Oh God. Sorry. With little 1099s that I was getting and I was doing. So I had some money coming in, but it wasn't like a full-time job. But I had to trust him, and I had to obey him when it didn't make sense. And I know I talk about that a lot, but really faith and obedience is just the path that God has chosen for me. And it's probably the path that God has chosen for a lot of us, because we are supposed to have faith in him and obey him. But what I wrote here is the lesson that I've learned is to trust in God's guidance and being obedient to his instructions. By following God's direction, you are demonstrating your faith and reliance on him. Complete reliance, complete faith on him. And then seeking rest and even a renewal of my spiritual relationship with him, increasing my ear to hear and my eyes to see. I went through a season that was really cloudy. while I was working so much. And so another thing that he did was he humbled me. He kind of stripped a title away from me of nurse practitioner. And he's like, who are you without the title? So that is a question for you. Who are you without your title? Who are you without what it is that you function in every day? Do you know who you are? Are you sure about who you are in God without the title? If he pulled you from your job today, would you have a nervous breakdown because you can't function in that role anymore? Or would you rely on him and depend on him and truly trust him in his word to not forsake you? The value of rest. So I put here, recognizing the value of rest and taking time to recharge. That is something truly I learned and am learning along the way, because I am like the go person, always on the move. And it was an opportunity for me to have a sabbatical, to be honest, and to really go deeper with him, and heal in some areas that I hadn't healed in. And then surrendering my control. That's something else that I had to do, is surrender my control. Quitting my job and relying completely on God's provision will teach you about surrendering your control. Now, let me just be transparent. I'm married now, and so my husband still has an income coming in. So it wasn't like I had $0. So I don't want to glorify this video and make it sound like, the Lord has provided me from making, X amount of money per month or week to nothing, and then I've been sustained. That's not what this happened. But it also positioned me to be humble and to know that God is still in control of everything. He's still in control of me. He's still in control of my husband. He's in control of our finances. He's in control of everything. And it was a good reminder and humbling. It was humbling. It's an opportunity to let go of our plans, our own plans and expectations, and trust that God will provide for our needs. And so I'm continuously going through this now. This is not something that I can say I'm on the other side of, because I still haven't been back to a full-time job. Now, things have changed. I feel like I am coming out of the season of the wilderness as I'm moving forward into more of a specialty. God has been speaking to me about the things that he wants me to do in the very near future. And so now I have like a clear path of what is the immediate next. But for a while, it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear. And I feel like it's important for people to know that sometimes with God, it might not be clear. Now, granted, he is not the author of confusion, that we know, but it takes our faith and obedience to walk in the things of God and trust him in those things that he talks to us about. And so, getting in your word, praying, seeking him daily, having devotion time, and truly going to him for your breadcrumbs, going to him for your manna, the new manna every day for guidance and leading you to the next thing, is kind of what I had to do, because I had nothing else but to rely on him. And when I say that, I mean, really, I don't know, I didn't know what was next for me. Time for us to have a conviction about doing what the Father is leading us to do. And I really feel that. I feel that, would you do what the Father is leading you to do when it doesn't make sense? Will you do what the Father is leading you to do when it's scary? Will you do what the Father is leading you to do when you do not know what the next thing is, when you do not know the outcome? Will you do what the Father is leading you to do and trust that he is not going to lead you down a road of destruction? Trust that he is not going to do that. I feel like I'm repeating a lot of what I shared in the last video that I talked about leaving my job, is because maybe I needed to kind of relearn where my help comes from, relearn who my provider is, but also to share that I'm a human being, and we get it wrong sometimes. And I feel like a lot of times on social media and in some of these videos that you all may watch, or I watch too, that we just look at people like they have it all together. And really, no, we ain't got it all together. I don't got it all together. Will you obey God when it hurts your pride? Because listen, it was hard for me to walk away from $50,000 and not get it back. Like, I still have student loans. I still have to pay that back. Like, nothing has changed about that money. Now, I have faith to believe that if he's told me to quit this job that was offering this, then he will do better. I have faith to believe that. But I had to be bold to make a decision. Now, some people will stay in a position even after knowing that God is prompting them to go because of fear of finances, because of financial insecurity, but because they don't know how they're going to make ends meet. And that's why I said you want to make sure that you've heard the Lord. But if you know that you've heard the Lord, it is time for you to step out on faith. It is time for you to walk in obedience. It is time for you to move in the way that he is showing you to go, because obviously that way is his perfect will. That's his perfect will for you. So it's time to do those things and allow God to truly order your steps. So I will keep you guys updated with where I'm at in this testimony. I plan on, sharing other things, but as soon as I have some updates, I will let you know. But in the meantime, I just want to encourage you guys to obey God. I will want to encourage you guys, if God is calling you to rest in him, if God is calling you to a sabbatical, you need to rest in him. You need to lean into what he is trying to show you, and relinquish this control and allow faith to take over in this space, in this season in your life. And so I will be back, like I said, with an update to my story. Again, it's a little raw of a testimony, a little rough testimony, because it's not pretty. It's not, I don't have the next thing already lined up to kind of tell you what God has done, but I know what God is doing, and I know what he's doing inside of me. And he's perfecting us. Like, at the end of the day, we are supposed to be more like Christ. So he is perfecting me in my day-to-day to be more Christ-like. And that's truly what it's all about. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it. Comment below and tell me what God may have been telling you to do that you haven't done yet. Tell me what God may have been telling you to do, but it's a little scary for you, okay? And share this video with anyone who you think this will help. And don't forget to subscribe to Because He Loves Me. Until next time.